Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Newcastle preview. Joining me, as always, is my good friend and Mickey taker.
No.
Joe Smith. How are we doing, brother?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Was that some sort of sign language you were doing there, or impersonation?
Yeah, do you know when they do they have like a Coldplay concert, and then in the bottom corner on the replay, there's like a lady doing sign language?
Yeah.
That was me, but I was doing voice language.
Voice language.
Yeah.
Coldplay concerts, mate. Have a word with yourself. Yes, United taking on the Magpies, as they're known, at Old Trafford. Hoping to build on our impressive performance in the Europa League. Nice 4-0 victory. You can see on the graphic there, United's last 5 results. Things have been going our way. In no small measure, Joe, to a certain Bruno Fernandes, who was on fire the other night over in Turin. You can see his stats there. What have you made of Bruno this season?
He's been amazing.
Or since we got him,
he's been amazing. Like, what else can you say about him? He's been amazing. I've spoke before about how I think some of the criticism that he received a month or so ago maybe was mostly unwarranted, mostly undeserved. He's averaging a goal or assist per game in the league. Like, go away if you don't think he's very good. Like, what are you talking about?
Very nice. But go away.
He's been fantastic.
You silly
Walk
person.
into the sea.
Yeah, sounds like me when I'm trying to swear in front of my kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying not to swear. But yeah, he's been amazing, hasn't he? I mean, you look at the stats; they speak for themselves. You watch us play every week; it speaks for itself. You watch us when he isn't. Excuse me, Jay. I don't know what's going on
You're dying
here.
over there, son.
I'm not well, mate.
I'm going in there.
No, you watch him play for United, you see how good he is. You watch when he doesn't play for United, and you see how different we look. We struggle to make chances in the same way. We don't score as many goals. We don't have that spark, that creativity, that like risk-taking player that does anything like what he does. And the thing with him, he takes a lot of risks and he makes a lot of mistakes and he gives the ball away a lot. But think how much another person trying to take those same risks would give the ball away. Because there are plenty of players who can just give the ball away, but most of them don't couple it with 36 appearances, 21 goals and 12 assists, do they? No. Anyone can give the ball away. People using that as a criticism like that's a bad thing. We know tons of players that give the ball away all the time. None of them have got those sorts of numbers. So it's not like, anyone would do that if they just tried more and just took more risks. That's not how it works. Most players are too frightened to take risks, which in and of itself is a talent that he has. The willingness and the ability to take those risks isn't just something that, he gets away with it because he takes so many risks. That's a good quality that he has, that ability and that willingness and the daringness, if that's a word, to take risks. That's a great quality he has. But also, like I said, anyone can give the ball away 10 times a game. No one else can do what he does in terms of numbers. And he's completely changed the team. He continues to do so. He was the catalyst on Thursday night against Sociedad. He's our best player. And, if we're going to win anything this season, he'll be the main reason why.
With that in mind, do you think it is a case of, I know we'll get to our predicted 11s later on, but in the league, we have to start him every game. Because especially with Pogba out, but even with Pogba in the team, to be honest with you, Bruno is so essential to the good things that Manchester United do. And if we've got any slim title aspirations, but even top 4, solidifying that top 4 position, is he someone that you think we can't afford to rest him?
Yeah, I mean, you go through any team, and there are big players, there are great players, and then there are important players. Like Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City is a great player. He might be their best player, but he's not their most important player.
No.
We used to see it was Vincent Kompany was the important player for Man City.
It's a good show.
Kevin De Bruyne was out for large parts of the 2016-17 season, or maybe the 2017-18 season anyway. They won the league and they got 100 points. Like, he comes back in, he comes back in, and last year they didn't do very well, and I'm not blaming him by any means. He's one of their best players, like I said. But then this season, the start of the year, he's there getting loads of assists, brilliant. Where are they? 5th. And then they start this good run of form. He gets injured for 7 or 8 games. They've won every single one. So they don't rely on him. No, it's very grim. But Bruno Fernandes, it's not the same with him. If he's out, we don't do 10 wins in a row.
No.
And any chance we have of 10 wins in a row, or I think it was 10 wins in a row away from home that we had as well this season. We need him there because he's our most important player. He's not just our best player. Everything revolves around him, and he has to play. So, yeah, if we're going to win anything, he's going to be the reason why. And he has to play every week in the Premier League because, like you said, it's not just about winning trophies. It's about improving, and we can't look as though we're going to drop out the top 4. And if we want to maintain top 4, make sure that we stay in that top 4, he has to play every week.
No, I completely agree. I think he is essential. And you've seen, like you were saying, I think you were saying it on a previous preview, that people were trying to be sort of clever and say, oh, well, he's not scored against the big six, or he's only got one goal, or whatever it was against the big six, whatever that means. Not the top six, but the big six was a lot of rubbish. Or I think he went 6 games without a goal, and everyone was like in the Premier League, and everyone was like losing their minds. But he's top class, and like you say, he's always trying to make things happen, he's always trying to unlock defences, and invariably he does that as well. And he raises the standards of those around him. We see players playing their best football around and alongside Bruno Fernandes, and we've seen that since his debut. You know, we saw it against Wolves, the very first game at Old Trafford, where he's shouting at players, he's telling them to make runs, and now he's got players doing that. So I agree with you completely. I think he's essential to us, especially in a game like this where we haven't had the greatest of form in the league, and we can't afford to be dropping points at home to a team like Newcastle. We'll get onto Newcastle a little later on. Another player I want to talk about, just because me and you've been doing these previews pretty much every week now for the last sort of couple of months, and we've not really spoken about him. We usually single out 1 or 2 players, and he's not one I can recall us speaking about. And it's Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I think he's pretty much a mainstay of the team. And like I said, we've spoken about everyone else, but we've never really touched on him. I just wanted to get your thoughts on him, because it's been a bit of a weird time. And I'll explain what I mean by a weird time for Aaron Wan-Bissaka at United. Because when he came in, he was pretty phenomenal, to be honest with you. That first sort of 5 or 6 months, everyone was raving about him, and rightly so. And it's just like, he made the 50 million quid we paid to Crystal Palace look like a bit of a bargain. Then he tailed off a little bit slightly. Then people started to scrutinise his game a little bit more, and the sort of the faults he had going forward, and that's been a stick to beat him with somewhat. Even now, you can see some of the stats there. I mean, he's got a couple of goals, he's got a couple of assists. 8 clean sheets. He's sort of regarded as a much better defensive fullback, which sounds a cracker's thing to say, but in the modern game, fullbacks are more or less all wing backs, aren't they? He's more or less regarded as a proper defensive one. Going forward, like I said earlier, there are question marks around him. What sort of season do you think he's having, Aaron Wan-Bissaka? And is he a player that you think he's nailed on that right back spot for the foreseeable future, or do you think there might be something in these sort of rumours of us looking for a backup or even someone to fight him for that position?
When he came in, he was so much better than Ashley Young that everyone sort of just blindly praised him for everything. Yeah. And he's a fantastic defensive fullback, and he actually is. And occasionally his positioning's not perfect, but one-on-one he's the best I've ever seen at fullback. I mean, I'm not old enough to remember Maldini in his prime necessarily, or certain other players that get touted. I'm not saying he's the best ever. No, one-on-one, but the best I've seen, certainly the best I've seen at United one-on-one. There's no fullbacks we've had who are better than him, I don't think. And he's sensational defensively. Going forward, he's all right. He's not great. It doesn't help him that he's never had a consistent partner in front of him, a wing partner. Like, I think Luke Shaw and Rashford have got a decent partnership on that left-hand side.
Agree with that.
Wan-Bissaka's never had the ability to link up with anyone on a consistent basis. Greenwood, he started to get a bit of a consistency with last season, and then Greenwood's been in and out of the team this year. It's been Rashford sometimes, it's been Dan James sometimes, it's been Mata sometimes, it's been, pretty much everyone, every attacker we've had has played on the right-hand side sometimes. I think Paul Pogba played there against Arsenal. He's never had a chance to get a link up and a chemistry with anyone. Look at Gary Neville and David Beckham. Gary Neville wasn't a great attacking fullback, but he could put a cross in, and he could distract a fullback away from David Beckham and let him put a cross in. But the reason they worked is because they played together for 350 games, whereas Wan-Bissaka has never had the chance to do that with anyone. So even the talents he's got haven't been allowed to be maximised because he's not got anyone in front of him. I think defensively he's still brilliant. I think he needs a rest. I think he plays every single week. People always talk about Maguire needing a rest and Bruno and Rashford and all these players needing a rest. I think Wan-Bissaka needs a rest. He plays every single game at right back. Pretty much all of them this season he's played. Yeah. A couple where Brandon Williams played one about a month ago. And you're like, that'll do him then. Up and down the right-hand side, sprinting as much as anyone in the team. Yeah. And you can have one day off. I think he could do with the rest. But I think he's a very good player, and the idea that we're looking to replace him already, be careful what you wish for a little bit, because I remember what it was like when Valencia was there, and he was decent defensively and he could track back very well because he was strong and he was so quick, but he couldn't tackle and he couldn't track his man like Wan-Bissaka does. Ashley Young, who's used to be a winger, people talk about Wan-Bissaka, who used to be a winger for Liverpool, why isn't he better going forward? Ashley Young used to be a winger for Man United.
Yeah.
Sorry, for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Why isn't he better going forward? Ashley Young used to be a winger for Man United in England, and he still wasn't very good going forward. So what level do you think he's going to be that he played as a winger at 16 for Crystal Palace?
That's such a good point. Because
Ashley Young did it for England.
It always amazes me that, because if you were good enough as a kid to be in an academy as a winger, doesn't automatically mean you're good enough to be an attacking fullback in the Premier League. No, that's not how it works.
Exactly. And you think of someone like, who could you think of? Will Keane.
Yeah.
Great attacker for Man United's youth team.
Yeah.
Till he was 19, 20.
Yeah.
He's still not made it for a Premier League team.
Yeah. James Wilson, that's a great
James Wilson, even better example.
Banging him in for the academy, and even got, was it a brace on his debut for the first team? Yeah. You thought this kid's going to go. No, that step up is massive. So it's a fallacy of logic to think, well, if you're a good enough winger for Crystal Palace under 15s, then why can't you be a good enough winger basically for Manchester United in the Premier League in a title challenge? Yeah,
ridiculous.
That's not how it works.
But yeah, I think
I get where you're coming from on that.
He's lost a bit of his luster because we've got used to how good he is defensively. If anyone watched, and I'm sure most people at home did, watch Liverpool against Manchester City the other week, and you watch what Trent did defensively, I could have done that.
It was that bad.
It was so bad. Sterling famously cannot get past Wan-Bissaka. If he has, he's done it less than a handful of times. Yeah. It's almost a meme at this point.
I think he swapped, didn't he, last time? I think, was it Foden? He put
play on the right.
Yeah, because he just gave up with him.
Sterling walked past Trent Alexander-Arnold. And it's one game, it's a very small sample size, and Trent's got great numbers going forward. But you can't really have both. It's very difficult. People talk about Reece James like he's ever done anything. Oh, he's great going forward and defensively. Is he? Is that why he doesn't even play every week for Chelsea? And he's never won anything. He's never played for England. He's never he's the shining example of a player that's incredible defensively and going forward. No, he's not. He's not done anything.
It's like, you're right, and it's even like, the whole thing, staying on Chelsea, like with Chilwell or with Alonso, them two have swapped on the left-hand side. There's, it's such a difficult thing to do to be so good going forward and defending as well. And also, when you've been at Crystal Palace and you've been taught to play a certain way, and then you come to United and different things are expected for you, people want it. All right, he's been here over a season now, but it can take a long time for that to sort of get ingrained in you. And he's still only young. What is he, 22, 23?
He's going to be improving as a player for 7 more years.
Exactly.
Let's calm down a bit. He's very good. He needs a rest maybe, and he can improve going forward. And I think he has improved going forward. But I couldn't be happier with him, really. I think the expectations are so high on him. Just because you see Trent putting crosses in and scoring free kicks, you think, well, Wan-Bissaka can't do that.
Do you know what?
There's plenty of things that either of them can't do.
It's this whole thing, though, of taking someone who's the very best at what they do, and then using that, not to compare, but to beat our own players with. Someone will go, look at Mbappe when they compare him to Rashford. Look at Mbappe. But Mbappe's probably the best player in the world in that position.
Yeah.
So just because Marcus Rashford isn't quite as good as him doesn't mean that Marcus Rashford's rubbish.
No.
And it's like, well, look at the numbers Trent's got. Why Aaron Wan-Bissaka? But Trent's numbers are like the best ever from a fullback in a season.
Yeah.
So just because Wan-Bissaka's not getting near him doesn't mean he's terrible. Do you know what I mean? No. It's just these mad comparisons that I see. We'll go on to the predicted 11. Go on, give it. It's not predicted, right? We do this differently because Joe's has his little funny ways about it.
Joe's thick.
Yeah, Joe's basically just ruined what was a staple of the former Channel full-time Devils and decided to, now we're in Stretford Paddock, it's a new era, and Joe's sort of doing his sabre rattling and taking over. So he doesn't do a predicted 11. He does an 11 he wants to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Do what you want. I don't even care. Right, so let's have a look.
When you're doing the lottery numbers, you don't pick what you think they're going to be. You pick what you want them to be, Jay.
Well, right, okay. A smarter man than me will have to work that one out.
Jay, I don't even know what that means. I don't know. Carry on, boy.
It could be very true. It could be a load of rubbish. I don't know. Let's have a look at your starting 11 then, if we can get that on the screen. Yeah. This is Joe's 11 who he wants to see. Yeah,
I've gone Henderson. I think he played well the other night. I think De Gea could do with a bit of a kick up the arse, and at some point you have to be held accountable for costing the team points or certainly not saving the team any points. Like I said it the other day, but the great thing about De Gea used to be his shot stopping was the best I've ever seen. Yeah, and I would still say that to this day. Between 2014 and 2018, those 4 or 5 years, incredible, and that would manifest itself in games of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots saved against top teams. That game against Arsenal, I think, still holds the record, or it did at the time, for most shots ever saved by a goalkeeper in a Premier League game. Incredible. But when's the last time Man United even conceded 13 shots on target or 6 shots on target? It doesn't happen anymore. We play on the halfway line much more than we ever did. Under Jose, we sat back. Under Louis, we sat back. Under Moyes, we did whatever the fuck, right? But we don't play like that anymore. One of the reasons we're conceding more goals is because instead of relying on a goalkeeper that can save shots as the defence is sat on the edge of the box, we're relying on a goalkeeper that can come out for crosses. We're relying on a goalkeeper that commands his box and clears as a sweeper, comes out of his box and clears balls out. And De Gea isn't very good at that, and he's never been very good at that. And that's not his fault. But if you're making mistakes, you're not coming out against Calvert-Lewin. Fair enough, you can say, well, that's not his game.
Just, I don't want to. Let me just ask you this quickly on that
is.
point, because you mentioned the Everton game.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the Sheffield United game, and I'll throw in. Do you know what? I'll even throw in the West Brom game.
Go on.
If Henderson plays all 3 of those games,
yeah,
do you think we pick up any more points?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Henderson would have put himself in a position against Sheffield United that he got to that ball anyway.
Yeah.
And I think he may have... The fact that he would have been moving quicker and flying toward the ball, I think they may have seen the foul because Billy Sharp would have had to have done more to foul him. Instead of just being able to lean in, he would have had to push him because he's moving, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I think he comes last night. In fairness to him, the ball got knocked out of his hands, but he caught the ball, and Sociedad player headed his hands.
It was clear,
but that was very clear.
It was very clear. There's no comparison there, I don't think, with the Sheffield United. So, in terms of West Brom, some people questioning David De Gea coming out for the goal. I mean, there's other things there. It was an issue there.
There's other things there, but he doesn't tend to do it. The Leipzig game is another one that, for me, the away game, that third goal they scored, it's Pogba's fault for giving the ball away. No, Lindelof gave the ball away. Pogba didn't do enough to get it back. Maguire didn't do enough to cover the gap. But the ball comes in from the very throw-in line, the touch line, all the way across the box, and 5 yards out, the ball is tapped in the centre of the goal. Your goalie's got to come for that.
This is what I mean. This is like the West Brom. And I know David De Gea made a good save in the West Brom game. I'm not taking that away from him. But for the goal, again, it's around the 6-yard box, innit?
Yeah.
And that Dean Henderson tends to come out there.
And also,
he tends to sort of rule the roost there a little bit more than David De Gea.
Yeah, and look back at the games they both played. When De Gea's playing... From opposition corners, they put 5 men in the 6-yard box at the near post. When Henderson's playing, they put 1 man in the 6-yard box. So they treat it differently. They have to play differently because you can't crowd out Dean Henderson the same way. I'm not saying he's perfect and he's certainly the man going forward, but I'd certainly give him a go. Wan-Bissaka, as we've said, is our best right back. Lindelof and Maguire picks them every time when they're fit.
And Bailly's just played. He ain't going to start him again.
Exactly. Luke Shaw, same thing at this point. I've gone with McTominay and Fred just because Pogba's out still.
Yeah.
And I think McTominay's been as good, if not better, than Fred. And I think we don't really have an alternative to Fred. And I don't really like Matic and McTominay together, so I've gone with them.
Fair enough.
The sort of the current number one front line of Greenwood, Fernandes, Rashford, and Cavani, who awaiting a medical fitness update. But yeah, I think he'll be fit.
He didn't travel to Sociedad. No, strong team. I like it.
I also, to be fair, other than Henderson, I think that's the team he will pick as well.
Right.
The only bit of me that is my want rather than prediction is Henderson.
Okay.
But I think otherwise he'll be that.
Fair enough. Bring up my 11, very similar to yours. The only sort of changes I think I've got, again, you just said it for me. David De Gea, I expect him to come back in. My choice would be Henderson, but I'm doing a predicted who I think Ollie will go for, and I think he'll bring David De Gea back into the side. I've gone with Anthony Martial up top purely because of the question mark, the small question mark over Edinson Cavani. I think if Edinson Cavani is 100% fit, he'll start. I think,
and rightly so. Do you think? He
yeah, 100%. He has to start. Deserves it. We're a much better team with him as our number 9. I feel, and I love Anthony Martial, but it's not happening for him this season. And I think that Edinson Cavani is a better option for us. And I want to see Mason Greenwood. You went with him as well. I want to see Mason Greenwood on that right hand side, and I'd like to see him starting there every game. To be honest with you, at least every league game.
Yep.
So that's the sort of that is like you said earlier with Pogba out. That's the most sort of predictable Ole Gunnar Solskjaer team you can probably get other than Martial. If Cavani's fit, you'll probably swap them two around. Going ahead, looking towards Newcastle. Our last 5 results against Newcastle, pretty decent. We had that horrible, didn't we? The 1-0 loss. It was the Longstaff brother, wasn't it? Was
Matty.
Matty Longstaff. We were all thinking about Sean Longstaff, and we forgot there was another one. Other than that, though,
one of the two anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter, does it? Remember we were linked with Sean, weren't we, for 50 million quid? Yeah, that was a great idea.
Glad we didn't get him.
So we've had a pretty decent run of it. Some decent wins there, a couple of 4-1s, and some solid results as well. I mean, Newcastle, they've been struggling this season. I don't speak to her. I know a couple of Newcastle fans. I follow them on social media. It looks like Steve Bruce is never going to win that fan base over. I don't think he'd win that fan base over if he won the title with him, to be honest with you, because of the changes he makes and the football they play and stuff like that. And in fact, a lot of them are still have these rose-tinted glasses on when it comes to Rafa Benitez. But they have got some decent players. I think the Callum Wilson, who's done all right, he's out. I think he's out. But the other one is the lad Saint Maximin.
Yes,
he's been a real sort of effective player for them, and he's a player that whenever I don't see a lot of Newcastle. When I've seen him, he looks quite good on the ball. He looks quite exciting, and he's the closest they've got to someone, in my opinion. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Geordies, that makes them tick. The closest they've got to someone who can make them tick when he's on form.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's certainly the most exciting player.
Yeah.
Obviously, Callum Wilson's got a few more goals and stuff. But St. Maximin, it seems like he was hit very hard with COVID, wasn't he? He was out for weeks with COVID alongside Lascelles, I think it was. But when you watch them, he's by far the most exciting player. He's the sort of player that no matter what system the manager's playing, when he's on the ball, it's exciting. Yeah. Even if you don't like Steve Bruce's style of play, even if you don't like sitting back, he's dribbling so good, he's so quick. His dribbling is absolutely sensational.
It is, he does these little things, don't where you're like, wow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, is it Almiron, the other lad, who's not quite there, is he?
No.
And I always think, like, Almiron strikes me as someone who, you know, if you're a defender, I think you quite like to play against him. He's tricky and he's got a bit of skill, but he's quite lightweight. He can't go missing. He doesn't like, don't like it up him, as they used to say. Let's not go there. But if you like, it doesn't strike me as no, even though I just did. But he doesn't like he doesn't look like the type of player that he's always up for it when it's a difficult time, which is what Newcastle are going for. But St. Maximin looks like someone who constantly wants the ball and wants to try and make things happen. A bit like Bruno, but obviously at a far lower level.
Yeah, and he would be the worry for me because he's so quick as well. Drifting into a bit of space behind Luke Shaw, maybe when he's pressing forward, going past Maguire and Lindelof, who neither of which are that quick. He's the worry for me. But you see, they're 14 appearances, 1 goal, 3 assists. That's slightly skewed by the fact that Newcastle make one chance a game.
Remember last season when they had, I can't remember what the record was, but they basically won about 7 games 1-0 with different scorers. Like a defender would get his only goal of the season.
There was one game last season, I think they won 5-0 or 5-1, and he got a hat-trick of assists in that game. But his dribbling and his skill is very good. He'd be the worry for me. But again, I wouldn't also be surprised if they go for some set pieces and get the big boys up from the back. Yeah,
they've done it in the past, and we know sort of Steve Bruce was always good for getting his head on a set piece. Still love Steve Bruce, mate. Massively underrated, weirdly. Imagine a defender got you 9 goals in a season nowadays.
He never played for England, did he?
No. Didn't get one. Do you know what I mean? He'd have got a cap up front now with that sort of record. He didn't get one cap. It's madness, isn't it?
That is mad.
Standards. Not that we were much better, England.
No. We got to a semi-final in the World Cup for the first time in about 30 years the other year, so we're not that much better. I mean, we're not that much worse. We're better, probably.
Exactly. With that in mind, sort of, give us your prediction.
Well, if I'm giving you a prediction with that in mind, I'm going to say
that's
England
the most inappropriate use of the sentence.
The Euros.
That with that in mind, ever.
Okay, with that out of my mind,
yes.
I'll go. We've just got to win, and they're going to be tough to break down because they just sit back so deep, and we've really struggled against that recently. It's going to be really hard. I'll go 2-1 United. Maybe 1-0 to be honest. I think it's going to be proper shit. 1-0 or 2-1. I'll go 1-0.
All right, 1-0. No, listen. A win is a win, as they say, and I'll take it any way it comes. I'm going to get giddy. I fancy getting giddy again. I've not been giddy for a little while.
No.
Go on, I'll go 5-1.
5-1?
Why not?
A hat-trick of assists for St. Maximin, but reverse assists into his own goal.
Yeah.
There
you go. If you're a betting man, or a woman, put that on. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Twitter and on Instagrams.
Go and check him out on the social media. He's up to his game now. He started bothering with it. He had a little bit of a...
It's not that I don't bother, Jay. It's just that I go for quality over quantity.
Unlike me, I just go for constant stream of non-stop posting.
Your Twitter feed is like
posting.
Unclipping the dust catcher off the Dyson and looking through. You might find an earring in there, but it's usually just snack-sized Mars bar wrappers and filth, isn't it?
It's like 1 minute I'm commenting on the power crisis in Texas. The next I'm arguing with someone over whether Paul Ince was a good player for Manchester United. Yeah. It's just...
No, it's not really. It's quality, really.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Of course.
And if you're not subscribing to the channel, then come on. give us a subscribe, give us a like, give us a share. And if you want to support the channel and check out some extra content as well, go and look at the members section. We've got discounts on merchandise. We've got some interviews and some extra videos on there. So go and check that stuff out as well. That's been Joe. I've been Jay. This has been the Stretford Paddock Newcastle preview. Thanks for watching.